we will jump in and get started. So welcome everyone to our Am I on Track webinar, chatting all things construction industry and how to survive for the next 12 months. I'm Stephanie Green. I'm one of the directors here at Blueprint 4. This is my first time back in front of the camera since I think it was mid-2021. First time in the new Blueprint 4 branding, so it's good to be here. And I've got Stu Kendall, a fellow director, with me today as my resident expert in the construction industry. Thanks for joining me, Stu.
Thanks for having me, Steph.
No worries. All right, let's jump into the agenda. So today we're going to go through some of the stresses facing business owners right now. A lot going on, so let's chat what's happening. We're going to talk about whether you have the lifestyle and financial freedom you want. Going to go through a business model that we use with our clients called the Business Spine. Have a look at what our most successful clients are doing, and then we'll wrap things up at the end with some questions. Let's jump in now and talk about the stresses that business owners are facing right now. There's a lot going on in the industry at the moment. What are the three biggest stresses that you're seeing at the moment, Stu?
Well, if I'm in the trades game right now, I'm really focusing on a couple of key areas. And the number one area is, am I making money on the jobs that I'm doing? It's probably the number one at the moment.
Absolutely. And what impact are you seeing of the cost of materials playing in profitability at the moment?
Well, everyone will have seen that there'll be a fairly big spike in this over the last little period. There's been a huge inflation's a big impact across the board, and there's been a big spike, especially building materials. So it's impacting people who've, especially in the fixed quotes game, like you quote a job now, and then your material price moves by a significant amount over the course of that job. Margin just disappears or evaporates pretty quickly. So it's really coming down to an emphasis on a very robust quoting regime, making sure you're really up to date with your pricing and you're getting the jobs right to start with, and making sure that quotes don't sit around for too long. So that way you're on track with, yep, I'm going to make money out of this job. I've got enough buffer if things do move, price does move, and yeah, keep a nice tight practice in case that things do change.
Yeah, it's really interesting talking about purchasing power and pricing changes and things like that. You sent me a photo not long ago, Stu, and I'm just going to pop it up now because it was a real eye opener for me. Have a look at this. This is just insane. The difference between what you could buy in January 2020 versus June 2021. I don't even want to think about what that pile is going to look like now in March 2023. Probably
Yeah.
get one bit of timber and that's about it.
Yep. Yes. So many guys got caught out with this sort of stuff. Like you've got a quote that lasts for say 90 days it's valid for, and this sort of movement happens, and all of a sudden you're doing a job, and that job's costing you money to do because it's on fixed price. So it's very, very important to stay on top of the way you do your quotes, stay on top of the way you do your sales process, and be really across. Am I going to make enough margin in this job to cover the material cost?
And how do you know if you're making money on a job or not?
Well, you can't manage what you don't measure. So if you're not reflecting regularly and you're not reporting on a job by job basis, then it's always tough to know for sure if you're actually making any money. So these days, it's critical to have some sort of job tracking set up, and most of your softwares can handle that now, whether it's Zero Projects or one of the numerous add-ons that these guys have. It's a matter of really prioritizing the information that goes into your system to say, yep, this is how much came in, this is exactly how much went out, and that information is really at hand as soon as the job's done. So you can reflect, you can change, you can adjust before things get too carried away. There's nothing worse than finishing a job and it's 6 weeks later, it's the end of the quarter or even the end of the financial year, and you think, geez, I didn't make any money last year. It's a real tough pill to swallow.
Yeah, real sinking feeling, that one, when you see that profitability. We've talked about making sure you're updating your prices, keeping up with the inflation and things. How do you then go about telling your customers about those price changes?
Yeah, communication is key here. It's really about being on the front foot and saying, guys, everyone understands the environment we're in right now. Inflation's a killer, interest rates are a killer, things are increasing, and the cost of doing business is increasing. So as long as you're upfront, you're speaking to people and you're saying, guys, this is what the price has to be, and not getting too caught up with trying to keep up with the market, making sure you're quoting for yourself and the cost that you're bearing.
Yeah. All right. So what other things are keeping business owners up at night at the moment?
I'd say that the second biggest one after that is really timing. and how hard that can be at the moment with access to materials. Not only are they more expensive, but they're harder to find. It's becoming a real balancing act of shuffling different trades, getting the materials on site, and getting, or really having to be in multiple places at once. So if you imagine that you've got, you're building a home and you're at a point, and that next trade can't turn up for 2 weeks, and that just sits stagnant for that whole time, it becomes really difficult and leads to so many other stresses down the line.
What other things do you reckon that's leading into?
Well, that'll cause a cash flow stress. So a lot of the construction industry is paid on a staged basis. So if the longer you sit at that stage, then the longer it takes for you to get paid, hit that next hurdle. So, you've got your week to week payroll, you've got your week to week outgoings. And if you're not getting paid for an extra, 15, 20, 30 days, then it can really start to impact the bank balance pretty quickly.
Definitely.
And not only that, when you are dealing with those, that constantly changing environment, burnout is a real risk as well. So something needs to be done ASAP. Most people tend to squeeze it in where they can. So, yep, all right, geez, I've got to work this Saturday, I've got to work a Sunday to make sure that I can get this job done so that I'm not held up for too long. But what that really does is it tends to be yourself and your business which gets pushed to the back of the queue. So the pressure mounts from clients, we start to drop what we're doing, we're not focusing on ourselves, and we're burning out. And it can really be a tough grind.
Absolutely. Then sustainability, just so hard to maintain that level when you are jumping in constantly to pick up the slack. What other issues are you seeing impacting the industry?
Well, the third critical one at the moment is access to talent. So there is a very distinct lack of skilled workers out there at the moment. So, everyone, I'm sure that most people I speak to would pick up another hand if they can find the right person. So getting someone to come in who can do the job to your satisfactory level, who can, I suppose, is affordable and you can make margin on, and is going to assist you in the key areas and bring value to the business and make sure that you can push forward. It's really, really tight at the moment.
Yep. So these stresses really come back to those three keys: time, money, and freedom, don't they? It's such a big theme around that. The profitability, that's your money; timing on job, that's clear time; and then the access to labor, that's the one that really kills your freedom. So having that time to do what you want to do in your life, not just in your business.
That's right. Yeah. So if you can't get the right people on board, it's you that's doing more work. It's you that's feeling that impact, and it does get quite tight, quite tough.
Yeah. And do you feel like business owners are living that lifestyle that they want to live right now?
I'd say that the answer across the board would probably be no. A lot of people, they're not achieving specifically what they want to achieve when they start a business, and that's usually they're pretty good at what they do. So they go out in business, but they want to go out, they want to do that work, they want to have that freedom. But when it's you that's working 6 days a week to keep up with customer demands, and then you're going home at night to deal with bookkeeping issues and deal with chasing debtors and payroll and the like, very, very hard to gain momentum. And next thing you know, it's sort of 10 years down the track, and you still haven't really thought about moving forward at all. You've just been doing the do day in, day out, and definitely not having the freedom you're after.
Yep. I really resonate with that idea of not knowing what you want to achieve. I feel like it's something I see with my clients all the time. They're fantastic at what they do. They do a great job, but they really don't know where they want to go. And I do want to take time now to just run through a model that we use with our clients that really makes it quite obvious that you don't have that end point in mind. You're just doing the do in the moment, and you're not heading towards a specific point. So I want you to think about your spine in your body. It really is the most important part of your body if you think about it. It holds up your rib cage, which protects your heart, supports the brain. You've got your spinal cord running through there, which sends all the messages to make your body operate. So it's really, really critical. And if you think about it, your business has a spine too. It's no different. And when your spine is out of whack, you know how hard it is to react to things, to bend over and pick something up. You feel crappy, you don't want to do anything, you're sluggish. If your business spine is out of whack, you're going to have those same issues. You're going to be slower to respond. You'll find that you are not earning as much money, you're spending more time, and you're just really not getting that lifestyle that you want. So let's run through the business spine now. So at the top of the spine, we've got your clarity plan. So a clarity plan is a personal balance sheet. Oops, sorry, I lost my slide here. Just go back one. It's a personal balance sheet. Clarity plan writes down everything. Sorry, everyone, our slides are having a little bit of a moment here. We'll get on to the right one. And hopefully that'll work. There we go. It's your personal balance sheet. We look at everything that you've got in your assets, your liabilities, your net worth right now from a personal point of view. We're not just talking the business, we're talking everything. So we're looking at your superannuation, we're looking at your investment properties, your personal bank account, if you've got shares, anything like that. And then we look at where you want to go in 5 years' time. What do you want that to be? What position do you need to be in to meet your goals, to live that lifestyle you want, to have that freedom that you want? The clarity plan is the what of your business. What do you want to achieve? It will tell you how much money you need to pull out of the business to keep your lifestyle where you want it to be. If you've got specific goals to achieve, the clarity plan really shows you that. Hence the reason it's called clarity. It gives you that visibility around what you want to do. The next thing we've got in the spine is the strategic plan. So your business strategic plan, we're not talking about something that the banks asked you to put together when you start your business up, some 30-odd page document that you draw up once and then throw in the back of a drawer and never ever look at again. We're talking about just a one-page simplistic plan around what your business is, who you are, what you believe in, what you're going to achieve over the next 12 months, what you want to achieve over the next 5 years in terms of numbers, basic things. That tells you why. Your clarity plan is why you're in business and how you're going to do it. Next thing we've got is the 10 hats. So 10 hats is your organizational structure. So it's not too complex, something we live into every single day here at Blueprint 4. We've got it plastered all over the walls of the office. It tells us exactly who is in charge of what so that things don't get missed. So things like marketing is a big one. Businesses really tend to let that slide to the background, usually because it's not the easiest thing to do. I wear the marketing hat in our business and it definitely pushes me outside of my comfort zone. Accountants are not very creative, so trying to get into that space is difficult, but you need that accountability so that everything else in the business gets done. It's so easy to fall into just doing the work, being operational, getting the jobs done, and then forgetting about everything else. But when you do that, your business isn't living up to its potential. You're missing out on so many opportunities. So that 10 hat structure, make sure that everything gets covered. And it might be that you are wearing all 10 hats, but at least you know what you have to do and you've got a plan into how to fit everything into that busy day that you've already got. So that we've got there the what, the why, and the who for your business. After that, we've just got the day-to-day kind of things. So we've got your cash flow forecast, making sure you've got the money coming in to meet your bills, get your wages out, make sure you're living the life you want to live with that money. We've got accountability meets, so making sure someone's holding you to account to those goals that you want to achieve. And then your systems design. So that comes back to just the day-to-day operational, how I get the job done. You know, if I'm pouring a slab, what's the process? That's your systems design. So this really is such an important thing to know. So one of these things can go out of whack and it really just pushes out the entire business. It makes it so much harder to react. And it's often those top two issues, so the clarity plan and the strategic plan, the what and the why, that get left till last. And that makes it really hard to make sure you're achieving that lifestyle you want because you don't even know what it is. So now, Stu, I'm going to talk to you about what our most successful clients are doing. What is happening out there that's generating the best results?
Well, yeah, reflecting back on that that business spine thing, the most successful business right now have an understanding of exactly what they need to do and exactly what they can and can't do. So they know that, yep, this business needs to generate me X amount of money and I can do that because of A, B, C, and D. It's really important to have, because it gives you that the benchmark to set yourself against, something to refer back to as you're moving along, and a guidance to say, well, geez, maybe I'm judged by what I say no to in the terms of jobs coming through the door, not just on what I say yes to. That's the step one. Really have that deep understanding of what's getting ticked off. Number two, I think that looking after the people who've looked after them in the past. So whether that's suppliers, like if you've got a good relationship with your supplier, then that's going to do a lot better in putting you towards the top of the tree for materials when they do come in. If you're looking after your employees, you're going to try and build retention. Looking after the contracts you got, the existing clients, and try and show them the value that you're delivering on a day-to-day basis. Not get too caught up with, geez, I've got to bring this top line in, I need to make more money, I need to do more work. Just value add from the existing contracts and existing people you have. I think that's really important. Now, also a case of educating clients on why prices need to change. Pricing is very important. Material and labour costs are increasing. Your prices need to increase with that. Otherwise, you're doing the same work for less money and moving backwards. I think a really big one that I've used a lot recently is buying power. What happens to people's buying power if they do nothing? So, I don't have the example to reflect on exactly here, but essentially, if you factor in inflation, you factor in increases in costs, the same money is buying about half of what it bought previously to this. Which can be a really big one. Like if you're doing the same amount of work and it's getting you halfway to where it used to, it's going to start to impact people a lot. So understanding the value and understanding how to deliver that to your clients is really important. And then there's also, focus on being effective, not just being efficient. So it might be quicker and cheaper for you to do everything yourself, but the number one way to really scale things is to have the right person doing the right job at the right time. So you don't want to waste your time doing really low value work or something that you're not, overly skilled at or overly happy doing. So that might be, biting the bullet and getting an apprentice in if you can find a good one. That might be, outsourcing some work that you don't need to do. It might be, empowering one of your current team members to do more themselves and handle some of your quoting or handle some of the day-to-day management of the team, so you can focus more on building that pipeline of work. Retention of employees is going to be a tight one. There's plenty of big project work going on at the moment where they can get paid a lot of money, like the desal plan of yesteryear was a really tough one, especially in this Gippsland area, for people who went off and had a job that paid quite well, and it really detracted a lot from the local talent pool. And we're seeing that more with the rail and road projects downtown at the moment. So to compete on that price, wages are going to increase, but also job satisfaction has to increase. So if you're giving people more to do and making them more empowered in their everyday work, I think that's a great way to try and attract some talent as well. So I guess summarising all of that, really focusing on effectiveness, right person doing the right job at the right time, and really getting a good grasp of exactly what's going on in the day-to-day, and making it a priority to report to it.
And also really understanding what you want, because those little things like being the wrong person to do the marketing, for example, if you're not good at marketing, you shouldn't be doing it when you can go out there and generate some high value work, and then make sure that that's feeding into you personally and to help fill in those personal goals that you've got. So
that's right.
That's definitely a good point.
Yeah. Being across what you're sacrificing and what you're giving up, like working a Saturday, if it's going to take away something, which is coaching kids footy, if that might be one of your real key goals, and if you've got that document and you're across it, then you know exactly what you're giving up to fill those gaps yourself, and hopefully you can plan a way around it.
Yeah. And just on your point as well about communicating those prices and educating the clients, I really like that, because as much as it's hard to increase your prices, you've got to remember that that's coming out of your pocket. If you don't do it, with that purchasing power going down, every time you don't increase those prices, that's coming out of your own pocket. So really something that's really important to remember there.
Yeah, good. That's such a flow-on effect, and inflation's 6%. So if your grocery bill's gone up 6%, you increase your prices by 2%. Well, then you've gone backwards. It's as simple as that. So really, really important to make sure that the work you're doing, you're getting paid for, and maintaining profitability that keeps up with your cost of living. And if you don't understand what your cost of living is, it's a really hard decision to make.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we are going to throw open to some questions now. We did have one that came in before our webinar started, so I'm going to start off with that one, Stu. So the question is, what happened last time there was a recession, and how did the best businesses cope?
Well, the last time there was a recession, I think 2008 was the almost recession, I suppose. That was when a stimulus package went out and saved the day at the last minute. So Kevin Rudd, Prime Minister at the time, gave pretty much everyone in the country $900. For some, like myself, we were eligible for it twice, and they went out and stimulated the economy. Bought their plasma TVs and went and did that, and that kept us out of a recession technically. But for the guys who actually did live through that and they worked through that, what was really important for them was discipline, building really good discipline, and that's in reporting and going through all the things we've just spoken about, making sure that they are profitable, that they're getting the data in, and reviewing things regularly, and building a really good disciplined business. Because once those tough times finished, they really did scale and take off, and had some pretty good years straight after that.
That's interesting. Back 2008. Wow. It doesn't
2008,
feel like that long ago, does it?
It really doesn't. Yeah. Now technically the last recession I think was like 1993, and I was about 6, so I don't have a great deal of input on that one.
Yes, can't give much information
Yep.
on how the businesses were going back in those days.
Yep.
That's all right. We've got another question come in now. Do you reckon there's going to be any more interest rate rises coming?
Yes. I'd love to say no, and I think there's a really compelling argument that they could drop things already, because I don't think that increasing interest rates is having the impact that it wants people to do in reducing spending. But I reckon there's at least one more to come, maybe even 2. I think the back end of this year could be very difficult, and it's all the more important reason to plan out things, and to make sure that you're maximizing value you're getting out of what you've currently got, because it could be some tight times coming.
I think I'm probably a bit more pessimistic than you, Stu. I reckon there's at least 2 coming. Considering I think those inflation numbers when they come out for the March quarter, I think they're going to be a bit nasty, and then that's going to cause another couple rises. But we'll see how we go. Really, we can't predict the future when it comes to the Reserve Bank. They did tell us they weren't going to change anything for 3 years, and then went and increased it multiple times in a row. So who knows what's going to happen? We'll just play it by ear, make sure we're preparing ourselves as best as possible and reacting as fast as we can. And then I think we're on track.
That's a real key thing, like reacting as fast as you can. So like you can only control what you can control. And because there's so many variables out there in business at the moment, like, you don't know when people are available, you don't know when materials are going to be available. So if you're controlling everything else, you're really, really well geared to react to those changes. And then, when you do, you make those snap decisions, or make those, try and make an educated decision as possible. But really focus on controlling what you can control, because back after this year is plenty of uncertainty in it.
Definitely is. All right. If we've got no more questions, I can't see any have come through the chat box here. That's all right. So if anyone has any questions post the webinar, can always feel free to contact Stu or myself, or anyone in the office, really. And we're happy to have a chat with you. But otherwise, thank you everyone for joining us today. And we look forward to our next webinar when hopefully that will not be too far away. We just got to get some topics in motion. Another thing, if you have any topic suggestions, feel free to send them through too, because we're always looking for more ways to help educate our clients. So thanks everyone. We'll see you next time.
Thanks heaps. Cheers, guys.